This conference will now be recorded.
There you go.
All right. The Town of Cayuga will hold a public meeting beginning at 7 p.m. on Monday, October 17th, 2022 at the Town Hall at 4058 County Road N. You can also join the meeting by GoToMeeting. We have a quorum present. The meeting was posted at the Town Hall and on the website. I'll call the meeting to order and we'll stand for the flag pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You have the minutes of our September 19th meeting.
I would move approval, with one minor change. Item F under number 1, administrative. I would have that and stand with the word agenda. Period. After agenda.
Second.
Motion by Williams, second by Duplay to approve the minutes for September 19th as presented with the addition of a period
And deleting 9 words.
and the leading 9 words. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
I forgot the closed session minutes, so we'll do those next time.
Okay. We'll go to finance report and approval of bills.
Move approval of checks 35754 to 35808 be paid.
Motion by Duplay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Funger to approve checks 35,754 through 35,808 as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. You also have in your packet the unaudited cash and investment balance of $2,358,252.57. You have the September per diems.
Move approval of the per diems.
Second.
Motion by Duplay, second by Williams to approve the September per diems as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Then you have the September building permit.
Move approval as presented.
Second.
Motion by Anders, second by Fonger to approve the building permits as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And by the 31st.
Won't be here.
Next item is public concerns. Public's opportunity to speak to the town board about any subject that is not a specific agenda item. No one online?
Mike.
Okay. Moving on to review the September police activities.
The only really big stuff we had was the rash of break-ins to vehicles on Violet's Hope that I talked about last time, but that individual was caught the next night. So the burglary and then the 5 or 6 theft from autos were all related together. Same car.
Local,
I'm sorry?
somebody local or
No, city.
no city yet? You should have known.
The only thing that was out of the ordinary, it wasn't a stolen car, so.
Yeah.
I believe I sent him the briefing on the e-bikes. They're legal from the state of Wisconsin,
Yeah.
so unless the board moves to put some sort of ordinance in the way to prevent them from doing it, they can drive all the electrical bikes and stuff on the roads.
Okay, thank you for looking that up.
And then I think we might have to send an ordinance over for parking. We have one for the 24 hours of right of way, but parking in front of like a no parking sign, for me, it would require a driver. So I can, if the car's registered to a business, I wouldn't be able to cite it. And then I don't know from the court perspective, how that would hold up if I'm citing a car and there's with the registered owner is how we've been doing it.
Correct.
And if it's a business, we don't have any way of doing it then, unless I know there's an ordinance, we have it. It's just for some reason, there's no bond amount, there's no fine amount, and we can't get it added to the computer according to Wilder. So I don't know if something needs to be redrafted or if we just need to send over
What
amounts.
was this, an abandoned vehicle?
No, just parking in where it says no parking. If I can't find who's driving it, I've just been citing whoever owns the car.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
And if it's a business, cite the business.
Okay. All right.
So you need something from the town though?
Well, so the way our system does it is it's flagged as a traffic citation if for parking.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you can add it as like a non-traffic citation and we can just check parking. And that way, all we need is a license plate.
Mhm.
And he said he hasn't been able to add it because we're missing fine amounts, I guess.
Okay,
I don't have much more other than your speed averages were kind of low this month, only 83 as the top speed. So
Darn anyway, it's hardly we're chasing.
just before I got here, this city stopped someone on the belt line at 105. So
Oh, jeez. Wow. I can't believe people actually drive that fast on the belt line.
in a hurry to get somewhere.
I'm glad they stopped him.
I'm surprised they stopped in general. So
Okay,
other than that, I don't have much more for you. Just waiting
All right.
on harvesting and tractors and all school buses and all that kind of stuff. So
service has been done on your furnaces over there, so.
and the fridge is nice.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Which one did we end up getting then? Which refrigerator?
Was it the 5?
The cheaper one, I have Brothers Maine.
They have it. Thank you.
Okay, next item is Plan Commission recommendations. Carl and Carrie Dahl, applicant and owner of parcel 711-262-8500-6, 40.98 acres, zoned FP 35 at 3637 Irwin Road, proposing to rezone 1.9 acres to RR1 to create a lot for a family member. We have the minutes from the Plan Commission and a drawing. Questions, comments?
So this is what they're proposing in response to what we asked them to at the Plan Commission?
I assume this what, right, rather than having it all to the north. you're Entering it.
Aaron kind of recommended plopping it in where it is. I kind of would like to tweak it to the north a little bit. But we were under time constraints. And I don't know if there'd be a little wiggle room to plan it a little bit better with the township supervisors and stuff, but he looked up CSMs for Hubert Lane and scores, and it was 60 footers. I'd mentioned maybe 66, just trying to leave it open to you guys.
Let's see, our ordinance. We were wrong at the plan commission. It's 120 feet in diameter with minimum outside curb diameter of 90 feet.
So this exceeds that, actually.
Yeah, this is a little bit bigger. Did you have a copy of this, our town ordinance?
No,
Let me give you a copy of that, but. And the motion from the plan commission was to recommend approval of rezoning the 1.9 acres to RR1 to create a new residential lot, conditional on the 90-foot diameter cul-de-sac added to the plans to be located, determined with the assistance of the highway superintendent. So it's 120 feet that we need, and he has 132. So it can be a little bit smaller, but then it gives the emergency vehicles place to turn around and for our snowplow.
That's your right of way, right? The 120? Yeah,
120
90-foot
is-
paved surface.
Yeah.
Did you get one of these?
Questions?
Well, he doesn't want this way, or,
No, you were okay with it this way?
oh, this is okay?
yes.
Well, I thought you said it wasn't okay.
Well, when we talked at the plan commission, we were going to move it a little further to the north because the south side of the road dropped off
Okay,
more,
Yes,
but
but you're satisfied?
yeah, I think we can make a nice cul-de-sac in that area.
I move approval of the plan commission minutes.
Motion.
motion by Duplay,
Second.
second by Williams to approve the plan commission recommendation. Are you going to correct the size to the 120? Correct. As per ordinance?
Yeah, as per the ordinance.
That's all right with the second.
Correct, yes.
Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item is consideration of agreement for 2023 services for the Natick landfill with Strand Associates. We had this at the landfill committee and price went down $500 from this year because we have some less testing that we have to do
Great.
that we got from the state.
Second.
Motion by Anders, second by Funger to approve the agreement with Strand Associates as presented. Any discussion?
Question, are you present when they're doing the monitoring or do you just give the report?
Just get the reports. I mean, I see them there sometimes when I drive by that they're doing it, but I'm not there watching them.
I was just curious whether.
You could have that job. No,
No, thank you.
They hook a computer to the tubes.
Pardon?
They hook a computer to the tubes. They have a little wire thing.
Really?
Yeah,
I was just curious how they do it. You know,
I've been mowing when they're running a test, I guess. Yeah,
Thank
okay.
you. I mean,
Since there was a laptop.
I have no clue, but it's an important function for everyone.
Yep.
So I was curious. Thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Did they send you copies in first to
I do
sign?
have them. No.
Okay. Next item is consideration of quotes from High Tech Heating and Air Conditioning Incorporated for the 2023 HVAC maintenance and all of our buildings.
Did we try to get additional quotes or not?
I did not, because they've been doing it for the last 3 years or so.
Is this any difference? No, I mean,
Um, Do you know what, if there was an increase?
I didn't pull out the old ones, no. I don't have them handy, I could. Find them probably if I ran to the other room.
I mean, it's no big to me either way.
I'll
I'm
approval.
moving. Second,
Motion by Williams, second by Duplay to approve high-tech heating and AC for the maintenance. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item, consideration of the 2023 Cottage Grove Chamber of Commerce membership. Do we want to be a member? Do we get anything out of it?
just, I mean, we can, I usually use it as to keep an eye on the village, but, no, I mean, it is what it is. It only treats the business community as a business community. I don't know if it actually offers us anything other than to maintain a presence.
So I think it's worth it, in my opinion. I think it's a good thing to be part of it, that we have people that go to the meeting and like Keith says, it is, you find a lot out about the village.
Yep, you do.
Actually.
Well, you find a lot
Yeah.
about the whole town,
Yeah.
you know, and everything, you know.
I make the motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Fongers, second by Anders to approve membership in the Cottage Grove Chamber of Commerce for 2023. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item is consideration of quote for the mulch base for the Bass Park zip line.
How does that compare to what was put under the other zip line in the Bone Sack?
Same,
Same?
yeah. I
Same
mean, we
price?
bought more for the other one because we had to do the playground area too. But yeah, this is not quite a full semi load.
I move approval.
Second.
Money coming from?
113 yards.
Parks Committee? Do we have it in our Parks Committee fund?
I don't think so.
Ooh.
There's still money there. I don't know if it's for that.
Yeah, what's left in the parks. Anything?
Well, we haven't bought that zip line yet, so.
No.
Ah.
We didn't include that.
They had 25,000 in the budget. We spent just about 5 so far.
Like 17 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost 18.
So if you would say that comes out of the park budget and any excess then use ARPA,
ARPA, yes. I'm
you
sorry,
know what I mean? Is that
that's what I want.
okay?
Parks budget, ARPA. Yeah.
Motion by Williams, second by Duplay to approve the quote from JR
Yeah.
Mulch with money coming out of the parks budget and any additional needed coming from ARPA. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And it's still supposed to be installed yet this month or the first part of November.
We haven't heard anything different. Yeah.
So,
They're going to install it?
huh?
The subdivision's going to install it?
No, we have the company installing it.
The zip line and everything?
Yeah. We have to put down the mulch. So next item is complete the 2023 insurance renewal questionnaire. And the only thing I saw was on page 10, they had one of the fire trucks listed under ours, and that needs to go under the other policy for
The joint.
fire department vehicles.
Was this done by the insurance company, the red? Or who's this done by?
The red, so the red they did, the blue I did, so like I added that banded chipper on page 8.
Yeah.
And checked some of the nose and stuff like that.
And change the employees and front page?
Yeah,
Yes.
the blue is
No.
me. They had on page 11, any new operations. I mean, they don't have the yard waste site anywhere in here. That really was new last year, not this year. I don't know
Yeah.
if there's any insurance needed for that or not.
That was for what? What was that?
Yard waste.
Drop-off site.
Geez, I wouldn't think so.
I'll just let them know we have it, I guess.
Right. Anybody else see anything? All right with the limits?
Yep.
Are we done with it then?
Looks to me like it.
All right. Moving on. Discussion and possible action on reconstruction of Natvig Road and County Highway N intersection. Nick,
Good evening, everyone.
and you gave us a drawing.
You want bigger copies or those work?
Oh, I'll always
We
get the
have
bigger.
bigger ones.
Yep.
I should have printed them.
Bigger ones are always easier to read.
So for this particular intersection, still working with the county. We're real close to it, going back and forth, tweaking stuff, but this is real close to what you'll see out there. So as everyone can see, with the intersection going to the north there, to the existing bridge, so you're approximately going about 600 feet, reconstructing to the north to the existing bridge, and then to the south of the intersection, you're going approximately 750 feet. So the south is set up correctly for the type of intersection the county's requiring due to the future development for the future Navbit road intersection being more industrial commercial. So then it's a type A intersection that needs to be reconstructed. To the north, they did allow not the proper turn lanes and deflection. They said because of that existing bridge, they weren't going to make the town reconstruct the bridge. So they want everything butted up to it and plan for the future. So when that bridge gets reconstructed, then they can extend those turn lanes as needed. They said it's in their budget for the next few years, but as everyone knows, budget next few years could change to beyond a few years.
Yeah.
But overall, this is how it sits. So they're requiring right turn lanes, left turn lanes, and straight through lanes, and also bike lanes throughout the whole thing.
Why do we have to put in bike lanes if there aren't bike lanes on the rest of the road?
It's their requirement, and they say whenever the road gets reconstructed, they're gonna add bike lanes and connect to them. So then that intersection doesn't need to get reconstructed again when they do the rest of the roadway. So it's their minimum requirements. So when a roadway's touched, just like as you saw with Kennedy Hills, he ended up doing 2 intersections in the whole works to meet their requirements. So it's the same concept.
So it's the same logic that they used to not build the highway overpass lanes, the 4 lanes wide, is working against us in this project.
Yeah, I believe so. So, yeah, I've been going back and forth because originally I started with a smaller intersection on behalf of the township to do a type B, it's called, because you got type B, multiple different type Bs, and then type A is a more complex, further turn lanes and so forth, and they required the type A for that. So this is just a plan view. As you can see from area looking down, we haven't designed elevations or anything like that. It was just to do a preliminary, not even a preliminary, just get this piece of paper and get it preliminarily approved by the county And then if you wanted to, you could proceed further into that. So with this type of intersection expansion, you're looking at around that 600,000 now, because the turn lanes are going to be a little bit longer than originally anticipated and discussed. So that's how it would sit. And then for the next item, there is discussions on a wetland delineation if you decide to proceed with this or want to take that next step. But is there any questions for how it lays out right now?
Do any of those utility poles on the west side of the road have to be moved?
There will be some some utilities that have to be moved and some right away potentially purchased, or temporary easements that'll need to be purchased throughout the project as well. The poles should be able to stay, depends on how much fill is by those areas. So if that's the case, it is the utility that'll have to modify or move those, not at the town's cost, because they are in public right of way, and this public right of way is benefiting the town, but also it's benefiting the county. And those utility poles, the county gives them the right to be there, but they have to move or adjust as needed for county regulations. and
Because that's high
requirements.
voltage.
Yeah, so the ones, no, I'm, what I saw for the grade limits, I think we'll just be grading up to it, but I didn't see a concern. The closest one would be right at the southwest corner, where we actually have a label saying existing pole dash typical. We're still a good 10+ feet away from it, from that pole.
Okay. Questions?
So there would have to be right-of-way acquisition involved.
Quite potentially, yes. How it sits right now, like I said, we just laid it on there. We didn't look at elevations and how far it needs to go, but we do have existing property lines on here that are not marked out the best. We have about every other existing label. So you can see on the very outside, it's like this gray 2 dash or long line, 2 smaller line dash. Those are the property lines, as you can see, throughout the whole area. And also we have the property owners marked out as well. So as you can see, the roadway is substantially widening at those areas. So you're getting a lot closer to those property lines. And then that does include any ditches that need to be out. You have to extend the ditches. So like I said, it's going to either be for sure temporary easements or potentially acquisition required for the roadway itself. And that 600 does not include that if it needs any acquisition or costs associated with real estate.
Okay.
Down at Kennedy, that was totally paid for by the developer, right?
Yes.
And here we go again. That it hasn't come up yet, but I know it's going to come up that some people on this board think we should be paying for this, and we should not be. I'm fine with the design. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but we are not developers.
Bill, can you talk about how the town could go around getting reimbursed for the improvement?
Well, you could specially assess properties that are especially benefited from it. I'm not familiar with this project, but if for instance, you're adding a road to serve some property, you could specially assess those parcels that are served by it. Alternatively, had one other thing and I forgot what I was going to say.
We don't own anything there, Bill, nothing.
Also for this one.
Huh?
That's where the landfill is.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, right, where the landfill is, yeah, other side of the road, yeah.
if a development is coming in and this is to facilitate that development, you can, any costs, including intersection costs that are attributable to that development, we can assess that development for it.
Yeah, but what I just said is, we just did a development at Kennedy, and the guy paid for everything, for almost the same thing.
Yeah, as I
It's
say,
unfair.
if a development causes a need for road improvements, we can force the developer to pay those. But if the need is not due to a particular development, then that's a public asset.
So this is going to be about a development.
Right. Yeah, then I think we could do deferred special assessments, which I think I talked to you, Chris, a while back about. We could do something like that if these are to serve a defined area in the future. We can look at deferring the special assessments until later. But we would need to, delineate now, this work is improving X district.
So what you're saying, we'd need to borrow the money. We'd have to pay for it now.
You'd have to pay for it now, yep, and then as the development occurs, they would pay those deferred assessments.
And you said this is gonna cost us $600,000?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, engineering estimate, with inflation and so forth, the exact numbers won't be known until going out to bid, but just running some cost analysis for other projects and what everything costs right now, that's an engineering estimate.
And I don't have a problem with the design. I think it's fine, but it's for me, it's something that a developer can use in the future.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, putting these bike paths in is just, we don't have a choice. Yeah, and it's like, whatever. I mean, we're gonna end up having to pay for it anyway, but $600,000, that's a unload of money.
So Bill, do we have to do a study on that entire area that we have planned for commercial development and spread it out over that entire?
Yeah, you'd have to have a determination as to which properties will be benefited specifically by this work. And they have to be specially benefited. They're benefited more than general properties in the area. And if you can delineate that, then you can specially assess the property owners for that cost and defer those assessments until the development occurs.
What does it mean to say when development occurs? What would have to happen before that could start?
When we ask for a rezone?
Exactly, yeah. They either rezone it, they,
A site plan?
something like that, right?
What did you say, Kim? You said rezone or what? Did you say?
Like a site plan
Okay.
review or something?
And so do we recoup the initial cost plus interest that we pay on a loan?
Yes, you can recoup interest.
And again, I'm right to the point, if it's such a good deal, somebody will develop it. Without us doing this, spending $600,000 on this.
Here's a question. In light of what's possibly going to occur on 12 and 18 with the sewer and MMSD, and something that we're looking at very seriously, again, find out what the cost is. Is it better for us to stick $600,000 potentially in bringing sewer this way? Granted, it's a lot bigger project, but I'm wondering if we could get perhaps maybe more bang for the buck if we do sewer. Just kind of throwing it out there. I'm not necessarily.
You're going to need to have both to make that property feasible for commercial development.
Why would we need this first?
Because otherwise their only access is down at North Star, and they don't have any way of getting to any of this property.
And you're saying nobody's going to develop unless we do this. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying this will probably spur that
No, I don't
development
see
on.
that at all.
What about all of the comments that the potential businesses that might want to relocate were saying, we got to have sewer, we got to have sewer, we got to have sewer? All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's give them sewer first and let them put in the road.
I don't have any clue, sewer, what the cost is.
Well,
You know, I understand what you're saying.
Eventually, we're gonna have to get them both.
but which comes first, the chicken or the egg?
I don't know, that's the whole point. I mean,
This
what-
road will not guarantee us anything. Sewer potentially will.
I can agree with that point as well.
Well, you got Houston's, they're talking sewer,
I know.
right? I mean, that's the biggie with the investment of the company you want to deal with on this, basically.
But you also need access.
But developers develop. We paid to have this plan done. I got no problem with that.
So what would be the next steps?
If you want to proceed with this, like I said, it was just a preliminary review to get preliminary
Yeah,
approval. And then we'll have to actually,
Wetland delineation.
that wetland delineation would be next, but we'd come back with engineering costs to do the full, actually get elevations turned, a construction plan put together, so you can go out to bid and then have construction start as soon as next year or the year after, if you want to take those next steps. So there is more engineering costs that's involved, and also getting the plans and specifications a full set. As you can see, this is just one piece of paper, but it gives you the general concept, what's going to go out there. And Dane County took the same concept to say like, all right, this is a good preliminary, we can preliminary approve this, but then we'll need to see a full plan and specs. So that'd be the next step to do.
So how much is that gonna cost us?
And all of those costs could be charged back to the developers.
And I'm aware, of it,
Years from now.
but I'm just asking, what are we gonna have to,
For that, just shooting from my hip without diving into it, maybe around that $70,000 for engineering and so forth. I'd have to actually put a pencil to it to get it more honed.
no,
to,
I'm
but-
just asking.
And I'm just spitting, yep,
You
just
know,
doing some math in my head quick, and that's where it's roughly coming.
But you know, we've already did, whoever is gonna develop good by doing this plan already, that they don't have to do it.
Comments?
Seeing we're this far with this
I
map
mean,
here.
I mean, I could see moving forward and having get the next step done. But I don't know what's, you know,
When you say the next step, Mike, what do you mean?
having him develop the
Final plan.
the final plans. You know, and okay, I realize that it's $70,000 plus minus whatever, we'll have to find a place for that, but I mean, we're gonna have to start putting some numbers to some of these plans here. You know, the same thing with the Houstons and wanting to get the sewer out there. I don't know. Like I said, I'd move for him to complete the study.
Is that a motion?
Well, first you gotta do the wetland delineation, right?
It's not needed. The wetland delineation I did if you want to construct it next year. So that's why I added it. I was planning ahead. So that one can easily just be disregarded because it only can be done during the growing season. Your growing season was coming to an end. So that's why I put it on the agenda. I was just planning ahead, worst case. Like if you said yes, I wanted to have that done so you could have
Okay,
plans and everything.
I'm not.
But this can, Mike, this can sit just the way it is right now. What would have to be, nothing more has to be done.
How about we go ahead, let this sit. Let's let the sewer discussion catch up to where this is right now. So we have an idea of,
The whole project.
correct.
It's the other side of the story. We don't own anything. We don't own any land, nothing. In the entire development, we own nothing. The town doesn't.
We do have a road for the time being. We
No,
have,
you don't.
Everything
you
we're
do.
doing is for somebody
You
else.
don't have access from all the other property owners.
the point is that if we build this and we have nothing else, we don't have anything.
We have.
Because we know that people who want to come here want sewer. And if we don't have sewer,
We gotta do both.
all right, let's find out how much sewer is gonna cost. And you've already started that particular process, correct?
That's Jay.
I know, that's what I'm saying is,
And where we can get money, if it's possible.
Did I send you an email asking you about that build grant?
Bill Grant,
Well,
economic
the
development.
DNR, I asked him about the DNR one.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Clean Water Fund DNR. Yeah, that's typically for new development, they don't fund. The only way you have to justify to say, let's say there's, I don't know, 100 places out there that are on septic and well, and their septic systems are starting to fail, they could justify and then fund you for that. But since it's only a few businesses right now, they'll look at it and say, this is for new development. We don't fund for new development. And even if the 2 businesses out there that had a failing system, they'll say it's cheaper for the town to buy land and put a new septic system in for the 1 or 2 people out there. So they, long story short, they don't fund for.
What about the build grant?
I would have to look into that one, because I know economic development, you could get some potentially funding from economic development, but Bill Grant, I would have to look into that one. Build or bill? Build?
Build.
The BIL, the BIL one.
Oh, okay. The BIL one,
Yeah.
so they're pushing money through different avenues. What we've seen them push money through, nothing so far for new development that I've seen. I can do a double check, but we submitted for the BIL just recently on some other street reconstructions that you were not awarded for. We did that, we helped you out at no cost for that, but I would have to look, but right now, nothing comes to mind for new development within the BIL grant portion that.
For this intersection? that we
Yeah.
could Apply for?
Yeah, I'll look into it some more, but nothing comes out of top of my head. Has there been any accidents at this particular intersection that are documented? That's,
Not in years.
yeah, because that's one way you could potentially get some BIL money if there was documented accident to improve the safety of it, which this would justify improving the safety of it. Nothing else comes to mind. I would have to look into it, but right now, nothing strikes out where those funds could be used for this particular intersection, but I'll look into it some more.
And we'll put Mark on the spot since how he just walked in. We're talking about the Netvig Road intersection.
Sure.
Are there grants or anything out there that we could apply to help offset the cost?
Yeah, well, he might have mentioned the LRIP program, the local road improvement program.
The one that's done every other year for that cycle, yeah, we just submitted that cycle.
Yeah.
So you have to wait again to get that cycle submitted,
Another
but
year.
those funds are usually, depends on which LRIP, but yeah, there's tier systems to low, which Dan usually submits on the low side, which
Right.
$20,000 you get for that. And then there's higher ones, which we submitted last
Which is
year,
how
but
Wayne
weren't
was.
qualified.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, those are some of them, but usually the costs aren't a lot. Where I was thinking big numbers amount to pay for majority of it.
Yeah, Kim, you asked me that question a couple of weeks ago and I responded to you with an email and now I'm blanking on it, but there are some potential opportunities. Normally, a community development block grant funds might be one of them, but you wouldn't get your allocation here from Department of Administration. You're in the urban county program and I'm babbling a little bit, but I'll forward to you guys what I forwarded to Kim, but it's just not coming at me right now. Sorry, it takes a little while to warm up.
Okay.
I'll try to find that email.
So then the discussion was always, do you put in the road first or do you put sewer in first?
Well,
And who does it?
Who does it? Workers with machinery.
Yeah,
Yeah,
money wise.
That's what he said.
Put it that way.
Yeah. So 2 questions. Do you put in sewer first or you put in a road first? Well, you know, the sewer would certainly serve the whole of the area, you know, that, you know, we've got planned for development along North Star Road, and probably would take longer to get from where we are now to actually having a functioning sewer system. So getting started on sewer now would probably be important. Who installs the road, or either or both? You know, is a good question. You in a industrial park setting, in most communities that have the ability to do so, it's not uncommon for the municipality to install infrastructure and for the, you know, to
Without owning the land?
incentivize the development, right?
So you're saying that you would incentivize a private owner who is developing, that we would put in the roads?
That's what happens frequently in a tax incremental district situation. That's probably the top reason, or one of the top 2 reasons for establishing one, is to set up an industrial park. And then what typically happens, you know, usually in a village or city, is that there'll be an initial investment of, you know, sewer, water infrastructure.
You get special assessment back.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes it's just the kind of the cost of doing business and attracting development. No, I don't know.
But it's a tax incremental thing where only that district pays for it, not all the rest of the
That is also
taxpayers.
correct. So, you know, I stuck my foot in my mouth one time earlier this year about tax incremental districts. It may be now possible. Well, the reason I stuck my foot in my mouth is because a key ingredient that I didn't remember or realize was that you have to have sewer in a town tax incremental district. And, you know, back in January, we weren't talking sewer, so we couldn't do a tax incremental district. Well, if you have sewer, you might have the ingredients to set one up now. Revisit with your financial consultant for
To
sure.
that point, does that maybe answer your question? Whether you go sewer first or road first? You need a sewer to create a town TIF district. You don't need a road to create a town TIF.
Yeah, right. That's right. It doesn't get you, doesn't qualify you, right?
Right, so that may, at least as to that issue, if the goal is to create a TIF district, sewer would be more important than the road, at least initially.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Mark, I found your email. It's up here.
Oh, okay.
You had said the USDA rural development, rural utilities. You
Yep.
said maximum loan 100% of project costs, maximum grant 0 to 75% depending on median household income.
Yep.
But then you said not sure if Cottage Grove would meet income eligibility requirements. And then you said U.S. Economic Development Administration, EDA, promote economic growth to assist economically disadvantaged communities. The 2 primary EDA programs include Public Works and Economic Adjustment Assistance Programs and investments for public works and economic development facilities. The latter program provides 50% grants up to $3 million to fund industrial park infrastructure and incubator facilities. The municipality is required to demonstrate they will create jobs and leverage private investment.
Yeah, and so that one would probably, you know, you have to look into each of these, which I didn't do before I sent you that email, Kim, and to make sure that you meet the minimum income qualities. The ones that follow, well, the first bullet and the third one was really an answer to the question about helping to fund wastewater treatment systems or a sewer line. So, and then the CDBG ones, I feel I probably answered myself, but it would be worth contacting Dane County, who runs the CDBG funds that you can access, to see if you could get community development block grant funds, which are federal funds that are funneled through the county. And that could potentially be for both. most of these programs, as you see from the list, either have kind of maximum income qualifications, and if I were to give you a off the cuff answer, you probably don't qualify for, or the project has to have a specific tie to providing jobs or services or housing for people with low and moderate incomes, which doesn't necessarily mean destitute people, particularly in Dane County, because you can't compare them to the county average.
Is that generally matching grants or no, or?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, you can see sometimes you got a match requirement.
Sometimes you don't.
Sometimes you don't, yeah. So I mean, it may be worth a few, phone calls and investigation, to see if one of those works, or if the county program, the CDBG funds that are funneled through the county might be able to help. And then it might be, well, we're going to build this intersection, or we're going to build this sewer, and then we're going to get this business, and the business might need to make a commitment that, hey, we're going to hire whatever it is, 30 workers, and that often is how those grant projects work.
Typically with the block grants, it's you have to fork up $1, they'll give you $1 situation. So if you need 2 million, they'll give you $1 million, but you got to fork up $1 million for the block grants. It's usually their typical
50% match.
So,
So do you want to table this and go to the next item and come back to this after it?
I guess so.
So skip down to J. Discussion and possible action on utility extension to County M and 1218 intersection. Rough cost, a little over 2 million.
yeah, shoot from the hip, it was 2 million. Then I was kind of running some numbers a little bit more, and I think it'll be more upper 2 mils.
Of course
Just-
it is.
Just looking at.
Oh,
I was
There's
adding.
no savings, you mean?
I was adding some areas that may need to be directional drilled through there. So those costs, directional drilling versus open cut, add up. And then I was adding a little bit more manholes. When I just did a quick calculation, that's what I was anticipating, but those costs could be a little bit higher once it comes down there. And then one thing I didn't mention in the email as well, there are hookup fees that Madison Met will have as well. So there'll be a hookup fee that fluctuates for who's going to be using it, today's standard, and then future hookup fees as well. Obviously, if you start sending more sewage their way. So those costs would not include any hookup fee, because they would have to run their own calculations to determine what the hookup fees would be for today's standard and what they're going to be 2 years from now, because you probably have more users 2 years from now and 10 years and so forth.
Right.
So, because then there would be continuous costs, and then those hookup fees would just be a lump sum.
So question, Bill, if we put in lining, we get approval to run it from AB to N, we pay for that line, do we own that, or can anyone hook up to it?
Well, it would be I suppose it would depend on, I assume this would be, is this an MMSD interceptor that we're paying them to put in?
No.
Or it's
It would be your line. We asked MMSD on that to extend their interceptor, since they said there would only be one user.
Yeah.
Big user, like the township would be the one user,
Yeah.
not like the town and the village would both be going this way. They said they would not increase it or extend their interceptor, so it would be your particular pipe for that distance.
So are you asking, Chris, if another municipality could hook into it?
Well, yes, if in the future there was an annexation and they wanted to use that line, do we have to grant that?
It would be either they could probably buy a portion of it at that time if another municipality wants to connect onto your line, or you would be charging them a fee to use your line and then another fee for Madison Met. So you'd be kind of like a wholesaler, I guess, in between the two, and then you have your fee on top. How I imagine, I could be incorrect, but I don't see another municipality, but who knows 20 years down the road where things are gonna go and how big MMSD is gonna be and what other wastewater treatment plants are failing that they need to hook up. But as today's standard, it was gonna be your line.
If it's gonna be our line, and I think last meeting, we talked about forming a town sanitary district. So the line would be owned and managed by the sanitary district for the benefit of the property owners within that district. So if somebody developed within that district, they would have a right to connect, subject to payment of connection fees and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
But if a municipality annexed that land, unless they if they annex the entire town sanitary district, I believe then they would have to assume all of those costs, liabilities, all that kind of stuff. If they assumed only a portion of it though, the town sanitary district would remain in existence. It would control access to that line. I don't believe a municipality could steal it from you by annexing it. You know what I mean?
So in a way, it would help stop future annexations.
Yeah, for several reasons,
For
including
that
spurring development.
Utility district
Yes.
within that district.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement to say. Whenever development occurs like that, particularly in a linear form, it creates an impediment to the annexer.
Also, well, you might have, this might be among your other reasons, but the number one reason why someone annexes is to get utility service from the annexing entity. And if you're providing one of the two key utilities, you're reducing that incentive quite a bit.
Right.
Because that was going to be the saving grace up on Vilas and Gaston, where that other interceptor is at, that if we were at that time able to create our sanitary district to help the folks over in Nondale, that was going to be a brick wall pretty much for the village, coming westward, or the Madison going eastward kind of thing. So that would make, or as I understood it, that
That's
was
also, we ran along Gaston Road and down Vilas.
correct, yes.
So with sanitary, that's something we would probably have to do relatively soon because of the ongoing construction at AB in 2018, because they'll be extending that. Still interceptor down to the new landfill.
Yeah, but you'll still be connecting on somewhere at County Highway AB. It wouldn't, even if you started today, it's gonna be about a 2-year process before you see someone putting a shovel in the ground to even construct, because you got, as Bill mentioned, the sanitary district would need to be created for that first. So then and then you also have to go through CARPC as well, because you're in Dane County to get that process cooking. So those things would be going, and then you would start doing design in the background, but you couldn't actually start construction and so forth until all those approvals are made. So it's likely going to be 2 years out before you can actually start digging a hole to put pipe in the ground. You want to proceed that route.
Road's already built.
Yeah. Yeah, there'll be, depends, I don't know if it's a 2-year project or not, but yeah, it'll be more than likely done at that time.
It'll be done end of next year.
Yeah, so you'll be cutting into pavement, doing spot repairs and stuff like that to connect. But
And what is Madison gonna think of all this? I mean, we're still in an agreement with them that either one of us can pull out at any given time. We have no, do we know what they feel about it? Running sewer?
I don't think they've got,
Why, I'm just asking, you know?
no, I mean, I
Never
don't
asked.
believe that they would actually have any way to say,
I
yes or
I don't
no.
know that. Do
I
we
mean,
know this? Or I don't know.
Well, the area that we're proposing to run sewer is beyond the area of their control under the IGA.
Right.
That's an exclusive town area. So under the agreement that they would have no right to complain.
But what I just said is that either group, we could pull out of this, like, we could go tomorrow and say, we're pulling out of the agreement,
Of the
ETJ.
right?
Well, it doesn't have any right to you.
Well, but that gives them back the power.
It's, the agreement is of tenuous legal basis for the
Yes.
reason we all,
Right.
but at this point, both parties have entered into it. Until a court were to, undo the thing, it's a binding contract. But even that agreement allows the town to
Yeah,
fully
I
develop this
understand.
area.
This is my opinion only, but I would believe that interchange would be beyond the area of concern of the city of Madison,
Right.
whether it had sewer or not sewer.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, I don't think we have much development in and around two landfills,
No,
residential that is.
No,
yeah, residential, no.
no.
Now, if it involved the notion that we would start developing at the same density that we're hoping for at North Star Road area all the way back to the landfill, then Madison might start to get interested because it gets into that, I forget the name of that secondary area that, yeah.
Now, the Kurt Hansen property on the southeast corner, maybe in 12.
Southeast where the implement company was gonna go.
Right.
Yes.
That's his property. He still wants to develop that at some point, but he doesn't want to be in the city, but he wants sewer and water.
Southeast on the other side of the road,
Correct.
other side of
There's that
12 and 18.
flat chunk of concrete that's been there for decades.
Yeah,
Just past that little marshy area. That's what you're referring to, right?
Yeah,
Boy, the way they got that, I figured most of that was gonna get eaten up in
a lot of it does.
roundabouts,
A lot of it
Yeah.
does.
but he still wants something on the remainder.
Yeah.
How many acres will he have left? Do you have any idea?
No,
Okay,
because he was at one point talking about buying the east side of that hill from Larry Score. Hasn't done that.
okay.
I just don't want us to get way over our head to the point that is, I don't know, the town gets to the point that we're taxing people to death. And you can keep saying that, yeah, we're gonna recoup it down the way, but it doesn't help the people that are gonna, well, you're saying, I guess everybody doesn't pay on this, right? In the entire,
Yeah, it would only be the property owners within the sanitary district. But that does sort of raise the question as to, how far into this do you want to go based on what you know now? I mean, as I understand it, the Houstons believe they have a business that's very interested in the property, but needs sewer. That's obviously not a binding commitment on the Houston's part or on that business's part. So at this point, it's very speculative for the town. And I just mean that in the sense of you would be putting the sewer line in, speculating that indeed the Houstons could come to an agreement with the property owner and the business would locate here. What you could do is, before we go too far down the road, enter into a development agreement with the Houstons. The Houstons could then have a conditional purchase agreement with with the business, that if the sewer was going to be put in, they would purchase the property under X terms, and Houston's would sell it to them under whatever terms they agree. That way, at least, you're not putting a sewer in sort of pig in a poke kind of thing. You have at least an agreement on paper by the parties that, yes, if a sewer is put in, this business is going to locate there.
And other businesses could be under the same.
Yeah,
situation out
Would
there.
all benefit.
yeah. I mean, I think at some point it does become speculative because
Yeah.
you hope for development, but people can't guarantee it. But what's driving the train here is you know, the interest the business has shown on the Houston property. And, you know, the town may want to consider at least formalizing that agreement. And in a conditional way. I mean, you know, if the sewer doesn't go in, they're obviously not bound to locate here and that kind of thing. But I think that would give some assurance to Houston's, because they will be paying, while they own the land, they're going to be paying for the sanitary district. And it'd give assurance to the town, because the town district is going to be fronting this money. I think that would be something you'd want to explore with the Houstons and with the business owner before you get too far down the road on you know, developing this sanitary district.
So I'm glad they're here because, you know, they're good users of land and they've done good in the community.
And if we make any of these improvements, we'll get far better businesses that look at that area for location rather than just a boat warehouse.
And not to mention the increment that could be generated. If you do form a town industrial TIF, and presumably it's all taxed now on an ag basis, and you get some significant development in there, that's all incremental taxes that you can use to fund more infrastructure and more development.
Because I mean, I think most of us here have been around long enough to know that the town has lost out on commercial development in the past just because of that ugly 5-letter word, lack of sewer, you know, and I would like to see us, you know, following Bill's recommendation. I'd like to see us put a little seed money into some further engineering look-ats to find out a better idea on cost and so on and so forth, you know.
Well, I agree with what you just said, that putting some money in to look at these things and see what in the long run is the best we can do with developers and ourselves doing good. The sewer, you know, there are so many questions still on all this. There's too many questions in my book, period.
Well, here's the other thing too, Mike, you know, I agree with you to a point, but at the same time, all of us are, regardless of whether we do Chris's project at NatVig, or we do the sewer, or we do both, it's going to be a leap of faith. You know, people elected us to go ahead and be the best stewards that we possibly can. And I'm not going to say we're going to roll the dice, but
that's
the only thing,
you
know, I'm going to use an old adage. There's nothing certain but death and taxes. And so, you know, we have all of the people that we pay money for to advise us. And at the end of the day, we go ahead and take what they tell us and we come up with a plan. Be it Chris's, sewer, or both.
Whatever. Need to do something.
We do.
Yeah, we do. We just,
We can't just sit and talk about it. We gotta move forward.
just can't.
Are the people in Cottage Grove unhappy the way things are right now? Well, tell me, I'd like somebody to tell me that everybody's unhappy in the township, how they live and how the town is going.
Well, I
Well, I
know,
mean,
they're happy.
just tell me.
Well, I serve on the Chamber of Commerce, and I'll
Yeah.
tell you. They basically don't ever discuss us because
Yeah.
we don't have anything available.
Okay, well,
We
that
don't
doesn't
have
bother
anything
me.
to offer.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me.
Well, all right.
We have farmland. Do I want to develop? Yeah, sure, I'd like to, but I'm not for us paying a ton of money to do it.
How are you going to do that then? You can't have your cake and eat it too, Mike.
You gotta, if it's such a great thing, developers would probably do it.
They don't do sewer.
Okay, well, that's true. I agree with that. Roads, just this whole thing with this road just gets me. It's ridiculous that we would allow us to do this when somebody else had to do the same thing and pay for it. I mean, do I think we should look into it? The sewer? You're darn right. I think we should. But there's still way too many questions about this whole thing.
You know, and here's the other thing too, the way I look at it, irregardless or irrespective of both the roads and the sewer system, I'm looking at commercial development to help with your biggest problem, which is taxes. All right? The more commercial development we get here, the less it puts on the rest of us who just have a normal residence, but would allow the potential for some of the extra things that people have come to us time and time again. I want bike lanes, I want parks, I want all this that we can't finance just through the tax base that we currently have.
We need to go everywhere possible, and that's what I'm talking about. We put a little seed money in and allow these guys to go out and see what we can get for money to do these things. We can't just sit here and speculate this at meetings and when we don't know.
Well, Mark has got a proposal here to study what the potential growth might be there. That's one thing. But then the other thing to remember is if you do go the TIF district way, that money stays in the TIF district, all that tax money for as long as the TIF is alive. It doesn't fund anything
Yep.
outside of that.
No, so I mean,
So I don't know how long that
What does
might
it
be,
help?
but
It's 20 years.
20 years or so.
yeah, 20 years.
Well, you could defease it early if you wanted to.
You can win.
You could, the
We could
longest
pay it
it can
off
be in
early.
existence is 20 years. If you pay off, if you front, say, $3 million for the sewer, and you pay that off in 5 years, you could close the TIF district in 5 years, and then all that increment would go on the general tax roll. You just share it then with the other taxing jurisdictions.
Well, I'm all for moving forward, but I don't understand how we can. I mean, realistically, do we want to put the sewer in first? I think we probably should, based on the answers that I've heard. But, okay, so let's get started then. You know, what is the first step in getting a sewer district or the water district?
don't you have to have Mark do his study
Well,
first and tell you if there's enough potential to even think that it might pay off someday?
And I think Bill's idea is very sound as well. If you can get a commitment from, at least one user, it's not 100%, speculative. There's a demand, that, you're going to get a project for, or from. I think that's a very good first step as well.
Well, I think sewer is a little easier to put in than water and, water lines, and
Yes.
it's way easier. I don't know. I have no idea what it would cost to run from AB to, through people's property, and, if they want to do it. And
I think you're dealing with another agency in the Public Service Commission, right? If you're.
Yeah.
Deal with a PSC, even if
water,
it's,
for
yeah,
water.
I don't really know
water,
if
yeah,
it's
water is
feasible too from a
not,
pressure perspective for water.
I wouldn't even think about that.
Well, and you're dealing with a well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little different ballgame.
You're gonna do sewer, you might as well do water so you can have fire
Yeah.
protection.
Fire protection's a big.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if you get somebody coming in with a big building, you're gonna need
We're
fire
talking-
protection.
We've done a few that are, it's pretty, fire protection on well it just gets cost prohibitive. They have underground storage tanks. A lot of them have 2 separate wells, one just for domestic water, one for fire protection.
That's what we
It's a
did for
big
the county shop.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And that's on the agenda. They're going to be annexed, so.
Well, but to Kim's point though, that you kind of need Mark to first look at, is this even potentially worthwhile? And maybe also he would include in there, if you put water, if you put just sewer, it's got this kind of development potential. With sewer and water, there's more development. So then you can sort of weigh the different pros and cons and the benefits and costs of each. Because right now, until you have Mark look at this, is all you really know is you have perhaps one user. And you don't really know what the other potential is. I think we all think sewer is going to be good for encouraging development, but to really quantify that at all, I think you need somebody like Mark to take a look at it.
Well, we started this at North Star Road, and we do have businesses out there. Obviously, they don't have sewer and water, but, you know, as far as us providing it, but they're there.
So we know what the baseline is.
Yes.
You know, without sewer, without water.
Right.
service.
How long would it be to have that kind of study that would produce? those
2 months.
So do you want to skip down to K, consideration of proposal from MD Raffles Consulting to study future development potential of commercial development areas near the US Highway 12 and 18 corridor?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so, because that's only $3,600.
Well,
We could go 37 if you.
But I'm just saying.
you would go all the way from all along 12 and 18 down to N.
Yeah, you know, I'd focus on the areas, Chris, that are shaded in pink on the map behind you, or whatever the current version of that map is, if that's not the latest.
No.
Yeah, I'm colorblind, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, the areas that are planned for commercial, but we also, you know, have some infill areas. Kim, you mentioned one to me over the phone where there's a few, you know, vacant lots along 12.
Well, Rothamer Road has got a business at the end of it and a vacant land going up and down it.
Yeah.
It's not planned for commercial, but
Yeah, so, I mean, we could look at that. We'd have to, you know, haven't fleshed out the scope fully, but you would want to kind of overlay the Madison agreement, you know, what is realistically going to be Cottage Groves on that, the town of Cottage Groves. So I wouldn't want to.
You'd be dealing with landowners and what?
No, it'd be more of a technical study, Mike. It
Really?
would be, you know, looking at the developable land, which I actually have a pretty good inventory of right now.
Okay.
And projecting both the quantity and pace of tax-based growth without sewer, with sewer, and I guess we're adding another layer with sewer and water.
Yeah.
You know, to understand what type of value might be dealing with that could help understand, you know, what a TIF district could generate for revenue. And it could help identify funding sources for sanitary districts.
Good. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, I believe that the Houstons have posted an escrow to
Yeah.
pay for some of these planning costs.
Yes.
So.
You just want to be partners in what you want to see out there on the intersection. If you want to see, I'm not going to mention what you want to see, but right to the top if you want.
Okay.
The street, the roads are there.
Yeah.
The arteries are there. The location is there. Now, it's either now or later. It's going to get developed in somebody's lifetime. But Mike, it's got to be it's got to make sense to the taxpayers of the township.
I agree.
So that's what we're on the same thing. We can.
Yeah. I know you are.
We need to try to go forward and not do more housing. That's commercial development in that area, period. And So easy. You don't have to pay for the roads. And the developer should pay for the infrastructure. Agree with you. But somehow the township's gonna have to lead the charge on getting sewer and water if it's possible. Otherwise, you go do like you did on North Star Road. That's what it's gonna be. I don't think it will be that, but.
I move
Got it.
approval of the proposal that,
Okay.
Yeah.
is that okay?
Do you need to add money to it to add water?
Yeah.
I'd say a couple $100, 200.
Not to exceed
Not to
400.
exceed 4,000.
Thank you very much.
I'll second that.
Motion by Williams, second by Fonder to approve MD Rolfes Consulting study future development potential of the commercial development area near the US Highway 12 and 18 corridor, including sewer and water, costs not to exceed $4,000. Correct?
Correct.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Do you want to go back and talk about H or any more on J, or table those until you get,
Motion to table.
until we get Mark's report?
Yep.
Yes.
Motion to table H and J until we receive the report back from Mark. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstention?
Was that supposed to be H and I? I read you.
H and J.
H.
What about I?
You want to
You
just
said
take
that was.
No,
no
that-
action on that?
Oh, that's, what's that?
Just no action on I then?
On I, we won't take any
Oh,
action.
okay, all right.
Okay,
We were done with J, right? That was that
Yes.
electrical,
Yeah.
2,300,000,000.
3 million and you were gonna pay it all.
I'll sell my house.
That'll be a down payment.
Start printing that monopoly money, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so then you want to complete the questionnaire for annexation petition 14532 for lands owned by Dane County.
When's it gonna stop?
And the reason they're annexing is they want sewer and water. Of course.
That was you, somebody told you that?
That's what John Welsh told me.
You sure it's not out of spite?
No.
They threatened to do that?
And then then the rest of Frank's farm that isn't solar,
Yeah.
it's gonna be the 911 center.
Really?
So that'll be annexed along with the solar.
Hmm.
But my problem with their scale map is they don't list Wisconsin DOT as landowners. Yeah, I don't know.
But Wisconsin DOT?
Yeah. Where the new Lud's Lane is,
Yeah.
they still own that land.
Mhm. Hmm.
So it's 33.74 acres, they say. We don't get any tax, it's tax exempt.
So it's both purple, or what's the deal? Both of the purple areas? Lot 1 and lot 2? Is that the same as the, this
the map.
round?
It's this map that I have. Oh, hold on, I need to share it.
This map.
Yeah, I'd see in the map, but what's all the stuff in the back here with
The two parcels.
yeah,
It's
that's
just the parcel.
split map, right?
Those are just the parcels that are involved. There's four, I think, four parcels out there.
Oh, is there? Oh, there's more here, yeah. The third one, yeah.
Those are just to show you the
Oh, okay,
existing
okay.
details on the parcels.
Okay.
There's no residential population. Present land use is commercial. It's already developed. No preliminary final plat. Commercial and one residence to the north and solar field. And at this time, we can't provide any of the services. In 11A, wouldn't that be a yes?
I didn't give my copy.
That we do have a comprehensive plan?
Is that the? Right. Oh, yes.
Like there's no bearing on public interest.
Yeah, if you look at the map, all that land, that inner rectangle that includes the three parcels is what the county owns. That outer piece that includes Lud's Lane and all the rest of it that goes down to Sylvan King, that's all state. So I don't know how they can be including that in their annexation.
Is 13 where we would make that comment?
I would think.
Other relevant information and comments bearing upon the public interest in the annexation?
Yeah, you have to, just thinking tactically, you raise that objection, assuming it is a defect, that the state is the fee owner in that, and it makes it not a unanimous annexation. If you raise it now, they're just going to cure it.
What?
That's Lud's Lane.
Yeah, they'll just cure it and they'll revise their annexation petition to either include the state or to exclude the appropriated states.
You don't want Lud's Lane, do you, if they take the rest of that?
No.
So.
So you might as well let them take it then.
So just go the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, you can point it out. My only point was if you wanted to look at challenging it later, don't tip them off as to their defect.
That should be between.
So don't say anything.
We shouldn't be involved, basically.
At this point.
No. That's Department of Transportation and them, right? Basically. Why do we care?
Well, I talked to Josh Westcott at the, and I mean, he didn't know. I'm trying to find out from him, why are you annexing? What is it that you need that town hasn't provided? And did you ever ask us if we would?
I'm looking at it, they're just getting back at us for asking too many questions back when this whole solar thing was going on.
Yeah.
Because they threatened to annex everything back then. If we don't do it, we're gonna annex,
What difference does it make? You don't have any taxes there,
No.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
you know?
I guess the idea is, I dislike extremely the fact that you better do it right now. You know, this heavy-handed.
If they wanted to tell us that they wanted sewer and water and we're looking at putting in, they would pay for their portion.
Yeah, but that would be, they're probably gonna have to pay for it either way, aren't
They're
they?
gonna pay for it either way, either the city or if the town had it, they'd pay the town. So doesn't make any difference to them. They're gonna pay. So are we done with the questionnaire?
Yep.
So just the yes for comp plan that should have been checked.
Yeah. And then M, acceptance of treasurer's resignation and consideration of plans for hiring a replacement.
You haven't done it already?
Huh?
You haven't hired a new one already?
No, you haven't applied.
Get out of here.
But not before tomorrow night.
No. Yeah, good point.
So if we accept the resignation and we need to set a salary range so we can advertise for a replacement.
Yeah, so that what I gave you was the ad from the last time that we hired a treasurer. I crossed out
Right.
the line about acting as a backup to me since we now have Amber. But otherwise, it's pretty much the same thing. You know, we didn't have a range in this one, but they're gonna want to know, so I think you guys gotta be prepared for a range. Amber and Danielle both started last year at 22, well, it ended up being 22 by the time the adjustments were made per hour for their first year. So I would think that the bottom of the range needs to be at least there.
22 in the maximum.
And then I think the maximum, I don't know what you want to go, $5 range or something, depending on experience, or I don't know what you, how big of a range you want to give.
Yes, I mean, it's been so long since I've actually hired people. But I have just,
What's your current hourly?
28, I think.
what'd you say?
That's what you guys were.
I guess I would say somewhere between 22 and 28, depending on
Yeah, I mean,
experience
yeah,
or qualifications.
Experience and qualifications, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere between 22 and 28.
maybe there's a-
You see if we get any takes.
So you want to keep it at the same number of hours and all that kind of stuff?
I think
I
so.
think so, yes.
Okay.
That's worked out, doesn't it?
I mean, the problem is if you go any lower,
You aren't gonna get,
you're not going to get benefits, and you're
Yeah.
not going to get somebody without benefits. So they have to have 1,200 hours unless they've got prior WRS service prior to 2011. They got to have 1,200 hours
yeah,
to get benefits. So I don't know. I mean, you could end up with somebody that wants to work a second job, and work it as a second job. You may be faced with trying to decide if you want to accept something like that, but we'll see what we can get first by
Yeah.
putting it out there like this.
and I would say we want to, if we post it now, we would want applicants to be back to us when? By,
Let's go with 31st, 2 weeks. Or the first week in November, either one. I mean, sooner rather than later.
Yeah. How much time did we allow when we hired Amber? Do you remember?
No.
I think it
I
was
would
like
say
3 weeks.
the latest 11/4.
That's a Friday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then we meet that next Monday, the 7th.
we can
If,
see what happens.
if
See if we get anybody.
If we had anybody, we could appoint
Well, you're gonna have to do interviews and all
Right.
that kind of stuff.
appoint somebody to do the interviews.
Okay.
So you're thinking you'd receive them by the 4th, on the 7th, you would narrow them down to who would be interviewed then
Yeah,
and appoint somebody to interview them?
whoever to do the actual interviews, hopefully that week.
With a hiring decision the following board meeting?
On the 21st.
This month?
Sound like a plan?
Okay,
But you're asking to leave at the end of the month.
Yes.
What if we said no? You have to stay. I'm saying, what if we said you have to stay another month?
Well, I'd be willing to help out. I start my new position on the 31st, so I'd be available some nights.
Okay.
But not if you're here.
She likes me, she don't like the rest of you people. See?
All right.
So then the next question, so I can obviously put it on the website, send it out through the email list, put it on the Facebook page. The Municipal Clerks Association has offered to put it on their page. You said the municipal treasurer, you talked to somebody that said the municipal treasurers would. And then I put a message out on the Clerks Network to see where people are getting results, and I've gotten 3 responses now that Indeed.com is where they're getting results.
From where?
Indeed.
That's one where you screen them, and if you accept it as one you want to consider, then you pay them $10
Yeah,
to get the whole application. But you do get to like throw out the ones that are totally out there, I guess. I don't know what to expect.
Qualifications or something.
Yeah. So that's the only feedback I got from the Clerks Network is that.
How did you learn about it?
That's why I just
Oh, you
asked
did?
her.
I can't remember if it was in the paper, but
When you came here, I don't, we might have advertised that one in the paper because that was before it got so crazy expensive to advertise in the paper. But nobody's having luck with that.
No.
So I don't know.
Somebody knew your mother or something, and no?
No.
No?
You do the Towns Association?
Yeah. I don't know if they, I mean, I suppose, I don't know, do they put those ads in there? I don't think they put those kind of ads in there. I can see if I'll check on that. I didn't think about that one.
You can do your job in the meantime.
no, okay.
How did you hear about your UW job? Where was that posted?
Through UW, they have
Online.
online, you just sign up for.
Is there a state online thing?
Yeah, but I looked into that before and it's not something that they'll let us into.
It isn't.
So I can look again, but I know I looked at that back when we were trying to hire her and it was too expensive or it was something, I don't know. I can
Or
look.
countywide? Do you know?
The county just posts their county jobs.
Yeah.
You know. I haven't seen any local stuff on that.
There's NeoGov, I don't know if you're.
NeoGov?
Yeah, NeoGov. A lot of municipalities, post onto there. I don't know what it costs or
I'll
anything
look
like
into
that.
that too then.
I think we've moved to that because we can upload our resumes and stuff on there. I've applied to before here, a lot of law enforcement agencies that use it.
Okay, I'll look at that one. I mean, I'm assuming that if it's the same concept as Indeed, you're probably okay with it. I don't want to pay a bunch up front to anybody.
Yeah.
I'll see what that is.
She agrees.
All right.
Do we need any motions there for so basically you decided on the salary range and that the applications will be due by the 4th. You're going to narrow it down and appoint the interviewers on the 7th with a hiring decision on the 21st. Okay.
You should do that by motion because you're establishing a salary range.
I'll move approval
Not on the agenda though.
of accepted.
Resignation and
And
consider
consideration of plans for hiring.
Yes.
Second. Motion by Williams, second by Duplay. And the motion was as Kim had read it.
Yes, exactly. As Kim has identified.
Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Public Works. Road right-of-way permits issued.
No road right-of-way permits. We did have ask for an extension on one. That's for TDS up in the Sky High and Rolling Wheels area. So, yeah, hopefully they get that finished up soon. They've been at it for quite a while. Other than that, we're winding down on summer projects. I think we mowed the parks for the last time this week. They're really growing slow. We're just kind of trimming up stuff. Started mowing ditches out for the year. So
You have a fixed merry-go-round
we're gonna take it out for now.
What, Mary?
until spring.
Yeah, bass. No,
Okay.
we'll get a heavier pipe welded onto it. No, we fixed it once. The kids broke it again, so we gotta put something heavier duty on there. Apparently there's some big kids playing on it. But yeah, other than that, we're gonna get ramped up for winter here soon.
Get those plows put on.
Nah, not yet. But
It's
soon.
gonna snow.
Would you need a right of way to put in a mulch driveway?
What?
Would you need a right of way to put in a mulch driveway? The person on BB by the bridge there said he's gonna put a mulch driveway in so people can avoid the no parking signs.
What?
He said he's gonna put mulch down into his field so that people can
That's
park. there.
that's on BB, so that's the county's problem.
Is it okay? Okay.
Who's this?
You said his name.
George Ring.
Oh,
He doesn't like that I was up there writing
Oh,
some
God.
today. So he's said that
Fell in the ditch line to put.
to get people to be able to get out to the creek, he wants to put, so people can park on the property, his property. He doesn't like that there's no parking signs there.
He doesn't like that? I thought he loved
so
it.
he's gonna build a parking lot out of mulch. huh?
Yeah.
Clerk's office update.
Working on absentee ballots. Next Wednesday afternoon, Jocelyn is putting on an active shootings class for our election workers here, so that'll be going on. And I guess for next, I'm also gonna be working on trying to make sure I know what to do after Deb leaves, so. For a month or so.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to appoint somebody. There's gonna have to be a treasurer in play. I don't know how you're gonna handle that so that there is an actual statutory treasurer in place until you hire.
Well, geez, we should have had that on the agenda tonight, I suppose, I don't know, or
We just don't accept her resignation.
We've already taken
Already
action.
can she remain a name only, or, you know?
She would not want to do that.
Well, if she,
The treasurer is
you
liable.
said she'd help out a little bit.
I'll just take a little check.
I don't know, I mean, can that position sit vacant for a month?
Yeah, I think it can for a month.
Okay.
But you're right, you do want to fill it. I think in a pinch, you're bonded, right?
Mhm.
You know, I think in a pinch, appoint you as the treasurer as well as the clerk, just to cover that, but I don't think you need to do it for a month.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, there's an election coming up.
Yeah. I've heard that.
You do have enough election workers here, though, right?
Yes.
All right, board reports and communications. I got nothing. Committee reports, joint landfill.
You already approved what we did, so with the new contract.
Cottage Grove Fire. Ask them to bring the agreement.
I wasn't there.
That's what I thought we did.
We asked them to get the agreement from their lawyer.
Oh, is that what you, okay.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
they
it's like,
haven't had anything on it in the last 2 months. So we did change when we're gonna meet.
not meeting until November. Was it the 20?
Or something?
That's what I was saying. 24.
Thursday? 24th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fire, or what time?
30? Yeah.
Landfill's that night too. Same night, right?
What's that?
Same night as landfill, right?
No, we don't have landfill in November.
Oh, you did, that's right.
24th? We got that.
Isn't that Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving,
Oh, well,
Yeah, that's Thanksgiving.
the 21st.
the 20.
22nd. Yeah.
Second is Tuesday.
Let's see, the 21st.
I'll look it up.
On the 21st, I thought we had a board meeting.
So fire's 22nd?
No.
Oh, okay.
Let me know which one.
Emergency government.
We actually, after about 12, 13 years, we actually finished the SOP, Standard Operating Procedures, and with a little, it's ready to go to the town board for approval. But I'd like to do that the second meeting in November. Does that sound okay?
Not the first one?
Yeah, I'd like to do it second instead, just to relook at it again a little bit, make sure we're
21st.
got all little details done.
November 21st
Yeah.
rather than the 7th?
Yeah.
Okay.
That turned out good, very simple and very,
Yeah, I thought it was,
Very good.
it was a good exercise. you
Yes,
know,
it was.
got rid of all the extraneous stuff that the village has. And
turned out good.
We are going to meet the night before the election then.
At this point, unless I don't have anything again,
fine.
then we won't.
Election's next door, so we don't have to tear anything down.
Right.
Did your second voting booth ever arrive?
It's in the
Yep.
box.
It's
Yeah.
in the
Oh,
box.
great.
Put it up.
All right.
I may not be able to be here tomorrow night for the budget. Linda's in Florida and we've got a big thing going on with the American Legion, but I'll try. If she gets home, I'll be here. Or late, one of the two.
I still need
Okay.
it.
Yeah. We'll save some work for you.
Maybe I'll get a lot more done if I'm not here.
We'll blame it all on you.
Yes.
Okay. But you already know 2250 for,
Emergency government.
Yeah.
Yep, that's
You already know
in
that.
there.
okay.
we adjourned.
Second.
Motion by Duplace, second by Williams. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Never.